So I'm going to tell you a story about a beautiful forest on a hot summer's day. So if I say hot, can you say summer? Hot?
Summer.
Hot. Summer. Hot. Hot, hot, hot.
Summer.
Once upon a time there was a beautiful green woods. The trees were tall and graceful and covered in leaves in the summer. There was flowers and bushes and other plants that grew underneath the canopy of the leaves. And of course, with all those trees and plants, there were animals. There were bats at night that flitted. There were owls that were calling. There were foxes and rabbits. There were snakes that slithered. There were frogs in the ponds and toads in the dark places. There was lots of flies and mosquitoes. The whole forest was full of life. What was it full of? Life. It was a beautiful place. But one year, one summer, it got super hot. Sizzling hot. It was like the sky was clear day after day. The sun shone down for day after day. Do you think it's a good thing if it's hot all the time in the summer?
Yeah.
No. Why is it not a good thing? What happened?
Because the iceberg melt and we get more water.
Ice caps and icebergs would be melting in the North Pole, and that would not be a good thing. But what about here in the woods? Would it be a good thing here in the woods? What would happen if it was hot and sunny all the time?
Yes.
Why? What's wrong?
The trees can also grow.
The trees can grow, but what happens when the sun gets really, really hot and baking, sizzling, burning hot?
The leaves might burn.
The leaves start to burn and curl, and some of the leaves that could fall down. Can you see here on the floor? Some of these leaves here. Imagine all the trees started to lose those leaves before it was autumn. Shannon, what have you got?
The rivers dry out.
The rivers dried out, so there was no water. And the ground, can you look at the ground here? It was full of sticks and twigs and dried leaves. And in the middle of that hot summer, with all the sticks and the twigs and the dried leaves, there was a spark. Give me a spark. A spark. A click. Could you do that? There was a spark. And then there was a finger of flame. Can I see a finger of flame? Just a little finger of flame. That's no problem, is it? One little finger of flame. But there was a summer breeze, so blow on your little finger of flame. Aha! But when he blew on the finger of flame, there was lots of fingers of flames. And soon the fingers became a fire, like this fire here. But as the wind blew and the dried twigs and the dried sticks started to catch the fire, there was an inferno. A big forest fire, and it started to burn through the forest, and you can imagine the trees were being eaten by the flames, and all the bushes were being burnt down to ashes, and all the animals, they had to fly or run or scamper or scurry or crawl or squirm to get away from the fire, and they tried to get towards the river, but all the rivers had dried up except for one big river over here. And all the animals, they came to stand by the river and watch their home was burning. How were they feeling?
Miserable.
Miserable, sad, destroyed, distraught. They didn't know what to do when they saw something. It was a flash of colour. It was blue and orange and red and green, and it was a bird. And it flew, nearly a parrot, the same colours as a parrot, but a bird that lives in this country. It's really good at fishing. Some people say it's the king of the fishes.
A penguin.
What is the king of the fishes?
Seals.
King
Birds. I can't remember.
Fisher. It was a kingfisher. And the kingfisher came out of the forest and went down to the river, dipped his little beak into the water like that, and then went back to the flames and dropped a little cargo of water onto the flames. And then went back, a little cargo, yeah. Went down to the river, sucked it up and dropped a little drop of water. And all the other animals, they went, "Oi! Kingfisher, what are you doing? You're a crazy, brainless bird. You're going to get burnt by the fire. And what good is one little drop of water going onto a hot fire like this?" And the kingfisher, she stopped for a minute and said, "I'm doing what I can." And all the other animals, they started to think, well, maybe we could do what we can as well. What about the badger? What could the badger do? If the river water was here and the fire was there, how could the badger help?
Grab lots.
How did he grab it?
Dry the water.
Oh, the opposite of dry. He could get his fur wet and then he could soak himself, his fur, and then splatter. They're just like Megan's doing there. Let's do that. Badger, 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 badger. And the flecks of water came out of the badger's fur and onto the fire. That was a good thing. What about then bat? What could bat do?
I know.
What do you think? Oh, I love it. So bat went down soaked her wings, 1, 2 like that, carried a few drops, and then you ready? Splash, splash. Try it. Splash, splash. A double load of water went onto the fire. Bat was doing what she could. Badger was doing what he could. Kingfisher was doing what she could. Who else was going to help out with? What about mosquitoes? Could they help them? Surely they're too tame. Because they suck blood, so they could. They sucked up their little tiny mouth parts full of water. Well, one little mouthful from a mosquito is nothing, but you've got lots of mosquitoes. All the little flecks of water came from the mosquitoes. What about the deer? Could the deer do anything?
Oh,
Malika, what could the deer do?
He could hang like buckets of water on his anklets.
So there were some big open bowls of wood, and they got them on their antlers, went down to the water of the river, dipped them in, filled them up, and then splash and splosh, and the water from the buckets on the antlers of the deer. Everybody was doing what they could. But the fire was huge and burning hot, and it didn't do anything to stop the fire. But what do you think happens if you put water on fire? What happens to the water if you drop water onto the fire? Riley?
It would then cause the fire.
What does it turn into, the water?
Oh, hot water.
Yes, and what is that called? That hot water that rises into the air. Does anyone know what it's called?
Oh, I know.
Shout it out.
Steam.
Steam, well done. And the steam started to come off the forest fire, up through what was left of the trees and their leaves, and up into the sky. And when it got into the sky, it started to squash and squeeze, and does anyone know what it turned into? If you squash, yeah, it started to turn into water vapor. What do you call a big white fluffy thing in the sky that when you squeeze it?
Rain clouds.
Rain clouds. And what the clouds like? They like to be in a crowd. So one cloud turned into 2 clouds, turned into 4, 8, 16, 100 clouds, and they squeezed together. What happened next?
It turned into a big rain cloud that would splash all of the
You are exactly right. Let's have a thunderclap. 1, 2, 3, crack! And then the rain came down like this, and the rain came falling down, and the fire, imagine you've got fingers of fire like this, and the fire slowly went out. And eventually the fire was gone, and it took a little while for the forest to regrow, but it did eventually, through spring and summer into autumn, become a beautiful forest once more. All the animals, they could go back in, and the animals never forgot the words of the kingfisher. Can you remember the words of the kingfisher?
I do whatever I want.
Not do whatever I want. There's a different, slightly different message. Yeah.
I can.
Do what I
can.
Yes, well done, Megan. So, shall we sing a song? Really easy, guys. Do what I can. Sorry, let's sing. Do what you can. Do what you can. It's amazing what will happen if you do what you can. Try it. Do what you can. Do what you can. It's amazing what will happen if you do what you can. Let's sing it like a badger. Do what you can. Do what you can. It's amazing what will happen if you do what you can. Can we sing it like a mosquito? Try. Can we sing it like a bat? How does that happen? Do what you can, do what you can. It's amazing what will happen if you do it. Last time. Do what you can, do what you can. It's amazing what will happen if you do what you can. And that is the end of that. Snip, snap, snout. Now the story's out. Try that one. Snip, snap, snout. Now the story's out. Well, that was really good listening, and it's a story about a forest while we are sitting in a forest. So thank you for listening so well.